average age around 26, 27. So we have an incredible nation here. And what we've noticed over the last 4 or 5 years of doing SpeakuP Monday is that the talent here, in a way, is untapped. So when I go back to 4 years ago, Sunje, when we first did a Bali Staff Solutions interview, and you were just starting, it's interesting now to note 4 years on, you've come so far, you've done so well. And, you know, so tonight's episode is about, well, where do we go from here? And it's about, well, how do we bring this Indonesian talent to the rest of the world? So that's what tonight's episode is about. So if you're in recruitment or if you're Indonesian and wonder how is it I can move overseas to something secure, safe, and obviously adding to the culture that I already have, tonight's going to be a great episode for you. So pretty soon I'm going to ask you, Kiki and Sunje, to introduce yourselves. Before we get there, though, as you know, my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the founder and host of SpeakuP Monday. We're a destination to Indonesia for foreign companies that want to move to Indonesia, but also local companies that want to grow within Indonesia, and known as a gateway to Indonesia. So look, tonight's episode, I think we'll start with Sunje and Kiki. Maybe we'll start with you, Sunje, as the founder of Bali Staff Solutions. So what was the initial thought, feeling, attitude, vision, mission of Bali Staff Solutions? Let's start there.
Yeah, hi everybody, and thanks for coming. I'm Sunje. I'm from Germany, and as Robert said, I'm the founder of Bali Staff Solutions. So going back 4 years ago when we first met, right? We have been through a lot, but what inspired me to establish Bali Staff Solutions was actually Corona, because I was living in Bali already and I saw many Indonesian people losing their jobs because the tourism industry was completely shut down, right? So, yeah, and sometimes people ask me, like experts living in Bali ask me like, hey son, I need a cleaner, hey son, I need a driver. So I thought like, why not combining these two, like helping Indonesian people to find new jobs, but also like helping experts that live here, but they don't have the access to the Indonesian talents. So that's what inspired me, and my mission and vision was just to create better perspectives for Indonesian workers to work for international companies and hence generating a bigger income for themselves and their families. Yeah.
So tonight's topic, and we'll come to you in a second, Kiki. You know, tonight's topic is about ethical recruitment, right? How do we, create a bridge Indonesia to the rest of the world? So why ethical? Why that word ethical? And why is that part of this whole recruitment sphere? Because in a way it doesn't seem to fit, but in a way it fits perfectly. So how would you describe that?
Thanks for the question. Ethical means for us to help Indonesians without getting anything in return from them. That means we don't charge them any agent fees whatsoever. So how we earn our money is by charging our clients that are looking for Indonesian workers. But also we help them negotiate for a better salary because, as you might know, Indonesians are very humble people who rather ask for a little bit less than more. So we also help them to gain the confidence to, maybe increase their salary a little bit. That's why we use the word ethical.
Beautiful. Well, let's hand the mic to Kiki. So it's interesting, that you should say, Indonesians are usually humble and so on and shy. When I look at Kiki,
what's happening?
The word outlier comes to mind because you don't strike me as being humble or shy. So maybe before I ask you the other question, so why is it, that you don't necessarily conform to maybe a stereotype?
Yeah.
Why are you the opposite of humble and shy? Can you explain that to me?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Kiki Refmawati. Everyone's called me Kiki. I'm a director of operations from Bali Staff Solutions. So regarding about your questions, if I can be honest, Robert, I also feel the same in the beginning, especially when I enter the first experience. Like, I don't know how much actually the minimum wage that I have in my regional, and then also I thought actually I always say yes to my boss, even that's actually foreigner or maybe local, because yeah, I'm just worker. I just feel that way. But same as Sunje, that's the Germany pronunciations. I met with Sun, and then at that time actually we have a co-founder as well. I learned a lot from Sun, especially related about the confidence, related about brave enough to negotiate, even that's something that you feel it's not value about your capability or maybe qualification. And then in Bali Staff Solution, I feel like maybe in the beginning, Sun feels like okay, just basic Kiki, but when I entered to have a meeting with our clients, etc., I think the more I know Bali Staff Solutions value, the more I also feel like I have to become a role model for our candidates, because if you think actually you have a value and then you know exactly this is something that you're worth, then fight for it, and then since then I think my character changed a little bit, and then I don't know, Sun feel that way or not, a lot, okay. And then I met with a lot of clients as well, and then I met a lot of candidates as well that feel like underpaid, because we also need to apply about all the law compliance in Indonesia, right, in Bali Staff Solution, because that's also our value to make sure that this kind of law compliance related about the human resource part in Indonesia can establish on their stage. That's a thing.
Thank you for that. And just going a little bit deeper, because again, on the show over the years, we've had about 1,000 guests, right? And a lot of those are women, Indonesian women as well, either from Bali or outside of Bali. So perhaps if there are some Indonesian women looking at this episode now and are kind of wondering, what was the process for you to go from here or from there to here in terms of your confidence, in terms of your projection, communication skills. If there were maybe 3 steps, if there's 3, what would those steps be?
Okay, thank you for the questions. I think 3 actually is not enough for me personally, because what's something that you ladies or maybe you guys need to know about your value, you need to know about what the skill that you can deliver for the company. That's the thing, because there are several cases that we are found as well in Bali Staff Solutions that they ask for certain money that's quite high, but turns out actually their skill actually is not there yet. So I prefer, before you asking something, you know exactly which stage that your value, I think, and then after that actually we can bargain about the negotiation of the salary, etc. And then after actually we had the skill itself, because what I believe actually practice is make perfect, right? So you can practice, but you can you going deeper, I think, about what exactly something that your hobby, your skills, your capability, and then you can explore. I mean, in this digital era, actually, we have a lot of platform as well to learn, and then that's free. And then that's something that maybe you can add a little bit more about your capability and also your skill to make sure our clients or maybe another companies actually can make you not a little bit, but the spot highlight, this is the good candidates, and then you can also add a little bit more about your capability, the way you communicate, because what's something that I also feel like, in Bali, I think most of our local people able to speak in English, right? But some of them actually just know about the basic. I think the one that really very interesting for me, even until right now, I learn about English itself. I mean, from the music, from the movie, from all of the application as well. So it's really helped me as well to improve my confidence from my soft skill. That's what I mean.
thank you. So what it's sounding like is that, in no particular order. So one is know your value, right? So know your value. Number two is kind of how do you develop that value and that worth more. So that can be taking online courses, how do you sharpen the axe, right? And then the other
That's
one, would be practice.
Correct.
Right? And this is whether it's your communication skills or, the skill which is very much needed in that role
True.
that you're about to play.
That's totally
Right?
true.
Okay, cool. So, Sunje, by the way, we've got some takeaways that we're going to get to in a minute. But what else would just on this topic, what else have you found in terms of this? Let's step it up a gear. So this is about, how do you act as a bridge between talent, homegrown here in Indonesia, and the rest of the world. So if there were three things, three is a magic number for me, you may have guessed that. If there are three critical components that someone here in Indonesia, in the workforce, who would want to maybe perhaps work in Germany, what would those three key ingredients be for them to have the most success in Germany, for example?
So, okay, interesting question. We take an example at Germany, right? Okay. First of all, it's very tricky to work in Germany. You have to learn the language as an Indonesian. I'm currently working on a project to recruit Indonesian workers to Germany, and it's very complicated. First of all, of course, as an Indonesian, you need to have the motivation to learn a really hard language until B2 level. You need to go through all the paperwork, visa, immigration, EKTKLN in Jakarta. Like, that's for those who don't know, it's like the migrant protection card. That's something, is it new? Yeah, it's quite new to protect the Indonesian workers who want to go abroad. Medical checkups, and also, of course, which is like a big topic, is leaving your family behind, right? Or potentially taking them with you, but in some cases it's also not possible. And that's also interesting that many Indonesians need to leave their country to support their family while they are staying in Indonesia.
I mean, Kiki, is there anything you would add to what Sun just said? It feels like you're about. Give me the microphone. I can feel like there's and there's more.
That kind of character still outside. Yeah, I mean, what's something that Sun mentioned, totally true, because that's actually our biggest project that hopefully actually can be running soon as well, because to deal with all the legal part between two countries, and then we need to make everything align and then legal, that's actually is not an easy. And then definitely our background and also our visions to help local people to have another good life that we can provide, and then it's something that legal, that we assist in every single step that they need to do, and then they don't have to worry about everything, because we connect with the migrations, we connect with the embassy, we connect with the BPJS, that's health insurance in Indonesia, and then we also need to connect with the labor department, and then we got every single the paperwork and applications need able to send it over to the embassy in Germany, something like that.
Got it. All right. So look, we're going to loop back to that, but just want to let you know there's three takeaways that we're going to get through today, plus many others, I'm sure. So number one is discover how ethical recruitment can empower Indonesian professionals to thrive globally. Number two is earn or even learn how corporate social responsibility, CSR, fuels sustainable growth in the HR sector. And number three is gain actionable insights into building premium HR services that connect talent with opportunity. So just coming to these, discover how ethical recruitment can empower Indonesian professionals to thrive globally. What would your answer be to that one? Either one of you, over to you.
Maybe from the client perspective first, and then I can bring about the candidates. What do you think?
Okay. Do you want to repeat the question, please?
Sure. Discover how ethical recruitment can empower Indonesian professionals to thrive globally.
Yeah, Kiki mentioned that I should talk from a client's perspective, maybe, because I have a lot of clients meeting every day, right? And what I see is that not everyone wants to act ethically correct here, which also makes us sad sometimes, yeah. Because we have labor laws here in Indonesia, but and we always try to communicate them well to each and every of our clients, but it's not always well received. And for example, like in other countries, the Indonesian full-time working week has 40 hours, right? And yeah, I think the perspective here is when people or many people move to Indonesia and set up businesses, they expect a worker to work 48 hours or even more for very little money. So, and that's not really what we want to support. So I always try to educate people. Look, these are the labor laws. This is the UMK, the basic salary. But even we always encourage people to pay more than the basic salary, of course. But it's, as I said, not always well received, which is very challenging because the arguments are yeah, but I have a friend who set up a business and they let their workers work 48 hours for below the minimum wage. And I'm always yeah, but that's against the rules and that's not really nice, so. And yeah, that's very challenging for us to keep on educating. Not all of them, not all of the people are like that, but there are some which we try to work against. Now I hand them
Kiki, over to you. It's a relay. It's a relay.
Thanks, Sons and Robert. So yeah, maybe I can a little bit more about from the local people perspective, which is our candidates, because as San mentioned, because I also handling several meetings with the clients, and then what's something that we get from the reality, some of them actually also don't want to fulfill about this kind of low compliance from the labor department, which is sad because I'm on this position, especially related with the HR. It has been over 10 years, and then in my previous company, we're trying to fulfill every single thing, like the health insurance, the labor insurance, the minimum wage, even sometimes actually is related to the safety. We call it K3, K3 in here. So we're trying to fulfill that one. When I enter about this consultancy businesses, I could say, what is my goals actually as a HR and then become Sun business partner is also educating our clients to be able to deliver, to provide several things that is mandatory from the labor department, and then that's something that's the minimum requirements that we able to proceed about our clients in Bali Staff Solutions. Something like that.
Thank you. So if what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that, yeah, as you delicately put it, not everyone is playing to the rules. Okay?
Correct. Yeah.
And we're talking about foreigners. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And so on the one hand, you stand for, Bali Staff Solutions stands for ethical recruitment.
Sure.
So it's about also educating your clients to say, hey, do the right thing, play by the rules, and, and then, it will benefit you in the long run, even in the short run. So by doing that, you're empowering the industry in a way to basically hold them to a higher standard.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
That's true.
Okay. So number 2, earn or even learn how corporate CSR fuels sustainable growth in the HR section. So how does CSR fuel sustainable growth in this HR section?
Okay, allow me to explain and then to answer. So yeah, in Bali Staff Solution, we also have a lot of program that we have been doing until right now. related about the CSR, because what's something that we believe in Bali Staff Solutions, helping local people is not always about giving the job for them, which is the worth it job, I could say, but it's also helping the local people that might be need us more than a job. For example, like providing our time, providing ourselves to visit for the foundations, the yayasan, providing the some of food as well. Maybe that's something that they need as well. So I think that's our function that we would like to provide beyond of help actually to our local people as well. Not only in the city, but we also visit like the village, literally the village until Singaraja and then Karangasem maybe. So maybe that's something that I can add a little bit more about the CSR, because we really value about local people, especially in Bali. But I hope actually it's not only in Bali, but we also around of Indonesia as well. Maybe someone wants to add a little bit more.
Yeah, and look, just before she adds something to it, that's okay. No, you can. It's like it's stuck to your hands like glue. Someone put glue on the mic. I know how you feel. Same thing with this one. After this section here, we've got one more question. Then we're going to come to the audience. So if you have a question in the audience, think of what it might be, and then you'll get your chance in about 5 minutes' time. So, Sun, you want to add to that?
Yes, sure. I think we do believe in karma, all of us. So when we first started Bali Staff Solutions, and we still didn't even earn any rupiah yet, we started with a lot of charity work. Because it was the corona, right? So we asked for donations. I asked some friends and family in Germany and they kept on donating money. And we did charity work before we even started this project. And we still want to implement this into our company philosophy, right? So we, sometimes make team outings, go to the Panti Asuhan, like orphanage, villages, etc. Because we think the law of attraction, what you get is what you receive, and the other way around, right? So karma is real. We all know it, right?
Especially Bali.
Yeah, especially in Bali, you can feel it. It's very present, yeah.
You know, one thing before we get to the last question, I'm going to ask everyone to do. So our camera's right over here, and I just realized that you're looking at me a lot. Look at the camera, son. There you go. Right. So they feel connected to you. So now gain actionable insights into building premium HR services that connect talent with opportunity. So gain actionable insights into building premium HR services that connect talent with opportunity. So what comes up with that question or that statement?
I mean, first of all, it's the knowledge, right? About what does HR in Indonesia actually mean? Like, what are the rules? I don't know if you all know about this, but there's actually many rules here, even though it doesn't seem like it. Actually, Kiki is the expert, but I also could learn the past 4 years. I could learn a lot of HR related things about Indonesia, which is quite interesting. So I think what is really important if you set up your business in Indonesia is to know about the employment rules and respect the employment rules, right? For example, the THR, the religious allowance that is paid once per year, depending on their religion. For example, Christians get it in December, but Hindus get it like in March when it's Nyepi, the silent day, which we all love. So that's the first step. Like, if you want to run like a successful business here in Indonesia, you need to know about the employment rules. I'm sure Kiki has more to say about that.
All right, thank you, San. You good at it? About the THR and everything, you good at it. So yeah, maybe I would like to add a little bit more in terms of the foundation setup, because you're talking about the premium HR things, right? So what's something that I really love to do with our clients, actually, to make sure they have their own HR foundation setup. I mean, I think some of you maybe knows that to hiring local people or maybe hiring foreigner as well in Indonesia, we need to have the business entity, which is there's a lot of like UDI, CV, PT. PT there are two, PT local, PT PMA, something like that. As San mentioned, we have a lot of rules actually in Indonesia. And then once actually you get everything done about the PT establishment, we also setting up about the foundation setup, like we handling about your registration of the health insurance, and then the insurance actually in Indonesia we have two. Don't forget there is like health and then also labor. If we talk about more details about regulation, there are a lot, Robert. So that's why just trying to make the surface in here, and then we have a company regulation as well. For example, this is many times actually happens in our clients that, Kiki, I don't like my staff, I want to terminate straight away. I'm sorry to say, but you cannot do that, because you need to know about what the reason behind. Is it because you don't provide the proper onboarding or maybe training to know about your company's value or vision mission, for example? So it's not totally the mistake actually from the employer, right? So you need to know about your portion as well as a business owner, as a leader, as a director, or anything your positions. You need to know that when someone actually enter your company, they don't know nothing about your company. So that's about the onboarding, and then also the training, and then also we have a moment for the appraisal. That's actually, we call it performance evaluations in every quarter, semester, and also annual. So we know exactly deep about our quality of the employees, because I mean, everybody actually can work, but it doesn't mean actually they work with passion and value according to the company itself. So that's why this foundation setup need to be done before you hiring these candidates or your future employee. Because if you don't nothing about the company regulation, at least, because we have in our rules actually we have a 60 pages of the company regulation that related what something that San mentioned about the religious allowance, leave entitlement, and especially we're in Bali, we have a lot of public holiday, sorry to say, and then we need to provide that one. And then you guys need to mention as well that, make sure as well that if there is someone that take public holiday, your shop, your company actually is not close. So that's kind of schedule. You need a leader maybe that knows more details about the schedule, entitled, something like that. And we also have a tax, personal income tax cover as well. If the benefit is net, gross, so it's related with the tax government as well. So something like that. So that kind of things is a one solution actually in Bali Staff Solution. That's why we're trying to deliver all the services one door stop solution for every single related with the back operations office.
Got it. So one-stop shop, as you mentioned. So not only is it about recruitment, but it's also kind of vertical integration in both directions, which is about, okay, bring them into the country. So it's visas, it's all of the immigration laws, right? Whilst they're here, then it's all the other insurances which are needed, different types of insurances, company setup. So if your company set up, then ongoing monthly maintenance as well. So you also cover
exactly.
these things too, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I can summarize it for you.
Yep.
Yeah, what we offer.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I've been once there, so to come into this country and everything was so confusing. So we thought, like, why not offering like a one-stop solution for every expat who comes to Bali, wants to set up a business, wants to hire people, wants to manage the people, wants to train the people. Yeah, so what I just mentioned, we can take care like everything. So from the company establishment to the visa, the foundation setup that Kiki mentioned, that means like registering your company under the BPJS Health and Labor. But then what we talked about, the hiring, the ethical recruitment, of course. And eventually we can also do a service that is called HR monthly membership. And this service offers like, basically monthly HR management, from payroll, taxes, etc. and we go one step further and also offer accounting services for companies. So they actually only have to approach us, and we can help them with everything.
Now, in a minute, we're going to go about the future, but just any questions, firstly? Yeah, you got the question over here. So, Guzman, that third microphone will be great. Just pass it behind you. Now, keep in mind, it takes about 2 seconds to switch your mics on. There's another camera, this one here, that will swivel. And so you'll be on camera as well if you'd like to a question. Otherwise, wait until afterwards. So, over to you.
Hello. Oh, okay. So, hi, Kak Kiki. Hey, San. So
Hello.
Well, this is like I always want to know from your perspective because this is like maybe I think it's a big issues in Indonesia. Well, I'm kind of like Gen Z. So, what do you think about hiring Gen Z in Indonesia? Like many people say, Gen Z is like lazy, struggle to work with teams, and so on. Do you think Gen Z is easy to work with, or is there something true to what people say about them?
Okay, can.
Leave no stone unturned, brother. Keep going.
Well,
Yeah, life
yeah,
must
that's
go on.
my question.
Thanks for the question.
We answer it now? Or? Okay. All right. Thanks, Fajri, about your questions. Yeah. And I think this is something that we also can relate as a business owner, that the Gen Z already start to work and then, working with the several company, etc. Maybe what's something that I would like to highlight, I mean, it doesn't mean actually I discredit about this generation. One thing, what's something that I believe in every generation, they have their own strength and weakness. Yeah. And it was something that you mentioned to us and then asking to us about the lazy, unmotivated, etc. I guess it actually depends about the leader of this Gen Z from my perspective, yeah, because if I become the leader and then I have to handle this Gen Z with this kind of character, well, first things, that's also the reason why we have to do the reference check and then also the interview at the first place. And then after that, and then if everything actually changes, once the employee already on board with you, well, we need to maintain about it, Fajri. Like, we give a training, we give a motivations, we give a product knowledge, we give about the standard of our procedure that we have in the company. And then we see after we provide about the training. And if the employee actually doesn't seems like change, I could say, then in Indonesia, we have 3 times to give a warning before we terminate someone. But of course, that actually not our goals, right, to terminate, because doing recruitment in Indonesia actually is not an easy, and then we need to control by the turnover of the company, because just provide about that and then provide about the warning, I mean. And after your employer receiving about the warning, because usually when you do the warning from the HR, we have a counseling, like, hey, what the reason actually your performance getting down, and then why you seems like not really motivated anymore. Of course, there is a reason behind. And one thing, something that I would like to highlight as well, Indonesians, I mean, not all, but some of them cannot really have a direct communications. They said, okay, I'm fine, I'm okay. But turns out, after we going deeper, there is a problem that maybe not match with the leader, not match with the company value, not match with the the workmate, for example. So that's something that we need to digging about that kind of reason. And then after we get about the reason that one, so we can keep maintaining about it. So I can say I relate about what exactly your points, but I also think that the leader has the power to change the behavior itself. And if the leader already tried their best to change about this behavior from the Gen Z employee, and then the Gen Z employee doesn't want to change, then it's out of your control anyway. So that's why actually there is like a hiring and also firing, right? So that's also an option, if I could say. But maintaining, it's a must.
You know, what it sounds like, you know, is that you've got a number of different obstacles to negotiate, right?
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, for just to be very practical for those people thinking about moving here. So one you mentioned before is religion. So there's 5 predominant religions here in
Sure,
Bali.
yeah.
So if you, for example, all of your team are Hindu, then on a Hindu holiday, you're going to be in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
If all of your staff are Muslim, then on the Muslim holiday, you're going to be in trouble. So having the right setup and having the right mix of employees to ensure that not all come from one specific religion or culture could be
Yeah.
quite important.
Yeah,
Another
that's
one
true.
you're saying is about the age and the, you know, and the mindset and ideology of the staff coming in. And to this, what I feel that you're saying is that a lot of people, great question, are saying, well, this is how this generation is formed and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that's untrue for you. What you're
Yeah.
saying is that it may be what it is, but with the leader that is has enough empathy,
Empathy.
understanding, knowledge,
Yeah.
is able to still create an environment where that person from whichever generation can flourish.
True.
And not only does that employee gain, because then they're gaining skills, confidence, attitude, and so on, but the company gains as well, because
Yeah.
now they've got an incredible work environment
That's
that
true.
breeds for success.
The
Is that
company
what you're saying?
culture, yeah, the company culture actually it's something that's really important to make sure this employee, not only Gen Z, the millennials as well, or maybe baby boomer, is also impacting, because we need to mention and then also make them understand the company value and company culture that we have in the company, because otherwise they can make their own rules and then it's not really able to running well, especially in the operations from my perspective. Patrick, how it
Beautiful.
answer?
You know, there's a few other things here that we, brand awareness, working
Yeah.
culture, unique culture values we've gone through, giving something back, respect for labor laws we've done, recruiting Indonesia to Germany, we've done all that. So, okay, question. So let's say that you're a foreigner, okay? Let's do 2 cases. So you're a foreigner coming to Bali to set up a company. You know, most people know the steps, I think, watching this. So what I'd love to hear from you is maybe one, what is it that people get wrong and just don't realize coming in, but you see it over and over again? That's from a foreigner perspective. Then the other one is from a local perspective. So what is it that maybe locals, which have got a PT local, what one mistake have you noticed that keeps on happening? So one for the foreigners, one for the local.
Should I answer from the two part? Okay. Bully part. Okay, the bully part actually from Sun, and then the local one actually from me. Interesting topic. So, what's something that they think actually they're right, but turns out actually is wrong? Okay, it's hard questions, but okay, I would like to choose.
I can go first.
Okay, if I agree with you as well. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, because something just came up to my mind because you mentioned it already a little bit, is the communication part. When expats come to Bali and want to hire local people, I think what they expect is it's easier than it is. Because Indonesians, the personality of Indonesians are quite like, they don't like conflicts and they don't want to talk about it. That's one big issue that I always see, is if you want to solve conflict in a team, the Indonesians, as Kiki mentioned it before, they always say, no, it's all good. It's all good. And you're like, you can tell me. No, it's all good. And then they are turning around and then they are complaining. And I know where it's coming from, because Indonesians, they want to be polite and they don't want to step on anyone's shoes or toes, or how do you say it? So I know where it's coming from. It's out of politeness and respectfulness towards us. But it makes it hard sometimes. So that's why we always recommend like using a local HR management instead of like letting a foreigner doing it, because it's more likely that Indonesians open up to a local person instead of us as white people or foreign people or however you want to call it. But that's one of the biggest obstacles, I would say, when you are like managing an Indonesian team.
So Kiki, Be Maski,
Thank
Be
you.
Uomini, quello che chiacchiera. Thank you very much. Grazie.
Okay, thank you, San. And then also, the one that I also pop up in my mind actually is also about the communication. But what's something that I would like to bring is not only about the communication; it's determined, but it's about when the foreigner actually wants to handling about the employment in Indonesia, and then they said like, I can handle about HR, and then if I can be honest with you, HR in Indonesia is not an easy, and then that's why, as San mentioned as well, there's a lot of employee relation that we're handling, and then sometimes actually they're having about the bad communications because maybe the foreigner seems like understand in this perspective point of view, and then the local actually understand about in this perspective point of view, and they just stuck actually to solving about that one. And that's also something that I felt about it, because Indonesians, not all the Indonesian but majority, highlight majority, it's about doesn't have the communication itself. When I feel like I don't like my leader treat me like this, then just saying, then that's actually something that perhaps some of employee feels like, oh, I don't want to talk about it because I'm just a worker, and then that's my boss, and then my boss actually give me the salary, blah blah blah, and then eventually they said, I'm okay, boss. And that's something that might become the perspective that wrong from the foreigner able to handle 100% HR, because eventually for the bare minimum of the communication sometimes, and especially with the low level of the staff, they can't, so that they cannot, so that's why I think I just want to add a little bit more about what San mentioned. Yeah, communications, I think. And one thing that you should know as well, guys, that foreigner actually cannot take the chairs to handling about HR. So the HR need to be done in every single things from the local people as well. And then that's actually, we have regulations. That's why I really advise to my clients that please do not ever you try to sign any kind of, for example, employment contract, or maybe any kind of related with that kind of thing situations, because the foreigner actually cannot take over about the HR from the local people as well, and that actually stayed in the labor department. So that's why I think.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What's also coming up, from what I can see, is that, and this is maybe a question for both of you, right? So looking to the future, right? Okay. So you've discussed it already. Indonesian labor law, there's a lot to it. Okay, it's not something which foreigners, let's say, should come and try and handle themselves, right? They're in Indonesia, hand it over, right? Okay, so maybe moving forward as Bali becomes this gateway for foreigners coming into Indonesia, and there are a bunch of different obstacles, right, to overcome, to negotiate. So maybe just think about one. Okay. If there's one change that you would like to see, perhaps in the labor laws, or perhaps in the way that people here are treated, and choose whichever one is more closer to home, what would that be?
Okay, so it's according to my perspective point of view. Yeah, personally, what's something that I really want this kind of employments, not only in Bali but it's also in Indonesia, that I can be honest with you, that make the employment in Indonesia not only local people but it's also foreigner equally, because what's something that I saw with the same level of knowledge and capability with our local people, why actually the the investor, I could say, paid higher the salary to the foreigner instead of the local people as well. Because, for example, social media manager level, and then why actually you have to give, I don't know, 20 million, for example, to the foreigner, and then you just give, for example, like 7 million, 10 million to the local people. I understand about the living costs and then the kitas things about the paperwork, etc. But I just feel like it's something that might be need to consider about the equality, especially about the earning money, because eventually they deliver the same things. You know what I mean? So I hope actually it's something that become my goals as well in Indonesia, especially in Bali Staff Solution, that educate our clients as well, foreigner as well, that we have a good quality of the employee anyway, and then just treat them the same like the foreigner, like don't lower their salary. It's just because, oh, you're local people. Because I think that's something that I really want to change, but of course it's not an easy, but I think with a little effort to have an education, sharing with my friends, foreigner as well, so they can open about, oh, this is the quality of the candidates that we have in Bali or Indonesian as well. So what do you think from
Got it.
Sun as well?
No, we're going to hand it to Sun. And
Okay.
just to, not to summarize, but
Okay.
to add to the point that you just made,
Yeah.
and again, personal opinion, right? For things to change, communication comes first. Basically saying, well, this is something that we flag, and then there comes attention to that.
Yeah.
Then there becomes a discussion, and then perhaps from that discussion, things can move forward. So by you talking about it and communicating it is putting it out there to us.
Yeah.
Right? So thank you. So,
Anytime.
appreciate you. So let's pass it on to Sun. So if there's anything that comes up for you, again, this is your personal viewpoint, yeah? It doesn't need to be that of Bali Staff Solutions. It's yours in whichever area, one of those two, perhaps. Or it may be maybe looking forward to the international objectives that you have. So over to you.
What for me personally is very difficult here is understanding anything. Like you come here and everything is just so complicated and you don't know where to look it up. For example, you go to the government websites, you don't find like the answer, and that's very confusing. Still, after 4 years running a business, we are sometimes not knowing what we are doing, because it's not like black or white here, right? It's not. It's always like, a gray zone. And we talked about the project that we started to recruit Indonesian workers to Germany, right? So I'm working on this project since 2 years already, because I don't know where I can get my answers that I have. It's just like you tell more and more people about this project, and then suddenly like you meet a person that can help you to achieve the next step, and that's how it is in Indonesia. There's no, I don't know how to, like, do you get what I mean? Like, it's so hard to get the information that you need, and the institutions that you need in order to get there are not very easy to access, in my opinion. So, for example, if I want to apply for the workers for their visa, I know that, in order to get an appointment for that, it takes a long, very, very long time, for example. And you don't know, can you get it in Bali? Can you get it in Jakarta? Where do they have to go? You just have to practice everything, because there's no information. That's, as a German, very difficult for me, because we have a rule for everything, right? And we can look it up and we know exactly the answer. But here it's always like, I sometimes ask Kiki, like, Kiki, how about that? And she's like, I don't know. And because it's not because she's not educated, because it's just like a gray zone, everything. like most of the things. That's
We need to get more details and find someone that we can rely on and then we can trust. But of course, the government we can trust, and then institution as well. But sometimes something with the changes, a lot of changes in the regulation that we have in Indonesia, especially after we have elections, president. And I think all of ministry is trying to get their best versions to update about regulation and everything, and then we learn about it for sure, because we don't want to give wrong information to our clients, so we need to educate ourselves as well about this kind of legality, etc. I think that's something that's on main as well.
Thank you for being honest. You know, one thing actually, going back to you, Son, and then we'll come back to you, is I'm a big believer in what you started actually, Kiki, which is, you know, when you communicate something, then it gets heard. If it gets heard, then something can move, right? Because again, it's 3 degrees, 4 degrees of separation these days, maybe even less. So then, and we spoke about this briefly, Son, you know, if there was someone, a resource that you were looking for that could help you in perhaps, you know, creating this pathway from Indonesia to Germany, which again is doing a lot of good, right? It's creating opportunities for Indonesians, the talent of Indonesia, to basically move from here to there and probably come back and reinvest that talent here.
Yeah.
Call them sea turtles, right? Indonesians, there was a guy, okay, Pidi Subatkan, his surname, he's gonna get me for, if he's watching the show, he said, Rob, you butchered my surname. So Pidi has a company called Desktop IP. Now, Desktop IP, he spent years in the US.
Okay.
Desktop IP is one of the only Indonesian companies that has its own license. So basically, let me get this right. Microsoft has one. The guys in China, what's the name of the big Jack? What's the name? The biggest marketplace in China is called
Jack Ma. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of the company? Alibaba has one. There's another one in the US as well. Now, Pidi has one with Desktop IP, and they're working on solutions for government when it comes to tech solutions, right? But he's a sea turtle, so he went overseas. He learned a great deal working overseas and brought that knowledge back to Indonesia to set up a company that then benefits Indonesia tremendously, right? So, getting to the question now. So is there anyone perhaps in a consulate in Indonesia, or what kind of person or what kind of resource are you looking for that would help you to empower Indonesians to move to Germany to empower themselves? What would that be? What would that look like?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think what would be really helpful is to know somebody in the embassy, German embassy in Jakarta, that can help processing the visa, or like at least supporting us with the visa process, getting like faster appointments, or giving us the chance that we can be sure that if we send our candidates to Jakarta, they can really attend the appointment and get their visa afterwards, because it's also cost involved, right, in the whole process. So the Indonesians have to pay their flight tickets to Jakarta, or pay for an accommodation, and if it's not really like safe that they really get this appointment, or things like that. So it would be good to have a connection to the German embassy, at least. Someone who can guarantee us that we can, if we start this project, that we can really make it till the end, you know. And I also talked about the BP2ME, the Migrant Protection Card, the EKTKLN. That's also something that would be really helpful, to know somebody that can help with this process.
Great.
Yeah.
So Pidi Subankat, got it that time. Woo! Sorry, Pidi. So any last questions from anybody in the audience? Yes, I thought there was one from you. So we'll get the mic over there. All right. Thank you. Subankat. Mamma mia.
Thanks. So we're also in staffing. We provide remote staffing solutions for teams in the United States. We use young Indonesian professionals to provide those services. So when I'm speaking to a prospect in the States, there's a question that I have to answer, which is why? Why would I hire a resource in Indonesia when just on the, in terms of price, I could hire somebody from the Philippines and pay half as much, right? So my answer is that there's a unique value proposition, and I know what my answer is, but I'm curious to hear your answer. What is the Indonesian superpower, right? What is the value proposition? If I see a young Indonesian professional, right, what does he bring to the table that you can't get someplace else, even in the States, where these people are looking for employees?
Okay. Thanks for the question. First of all, I would say Indonesians are really caring and warm people, as well as very ambitious and committed. So that would be my answer, probably. What do you think?
Thank you. Sorry, what's your name again?
Jason.
Jason. Okay, Jason. Okay, nice to meet you. So I think from my perspective point of view, I think, I could say actually depends about what kind of level that you want to hire first. That's the thing. If you want the high managerial positions, right, I could say. I think the things that really interesting to hire Indonesian people first, because we are Indonesians, I think that would be great actually we can respect about to hiring local people as well. That's number one. Number two, about their characteristic as well. So what's something that I believe, and then in my level as well, I have friends more into managerial positions from the IT, from the hospitality, etc. I think they're ethical that I can also add, become their beneficial to get hired because they're ethical, their commitment as well. And then if you also find the right person that you can hire, it's about the loyalty. That's something that maybe I can highlight from Indonesians worker. Thank you.
Thank you.
What have you found, Jason?
Yeah. Share about your experience.
Sure. Okay. So every Indonesian I've met, literally every Indonesian, speaks at least 2 languages.
Okay.
Right? You grow up, you speak Bahasa Indonesia, you speak your local language,
yeah.
Often 3 or more. And so, learning those languages at a very early age makes it very easy to learn more languages. So when we talk to our customers, we need young people who can service their customers elsewhere in Asia. So they need to speak Chinese or Malaysian or Japanese or Korean or what have you, but also be able to interact with their American English-speaking teams and to do so, fluidly and fluently, right? Yeah. So no other place in the world have I found it so easy to find trilingual fluent people as here in Indonesia. On top of everything else, right? Yeah. The young professionals, they go to great schools, they do foreign exchange programs, the whole thing, right? They're real professionals, just like you'd find in Europe or in the United States. Yeah. But they, in addition to all that, whatever other skills they have, speak 2, 3 languages really well, right? They're an unappreciated national treasure, I think.
That's true. Okay.
Thank you, Jason. Beautifully put. So look, we're going to begin to wrap up now. So I'm going to leave you both with a question. And that question is, the topic for tonight was about ethical recruitment. It was about empowering Indonesians and creating this gateway to international not only recognition, but an international opportunity to basically work overseas, right? So the question would be, we've discussed and covered quite a lot of ground tonight. The last question would then be, if there's anything left that perhaps you wanted to say but didn't get a chance to say, or maybe it's reiterating something that you've said before, but you feel that, this is something which I really want to draw attention to going forward. And then from you, Kiki, I would like you to let people know how they can get in touch with you if they're interested to basically, hey, I want to check out Bali Staff Solutions. How can I find them? What's the process for perhaps enlisting their services, retaining their services for our support. All right. So then the question it would be to you, and then we're finished with Sun. So for those of you here, I just want to thank you, Brother Guzman and Hadis, who's around here somewhere. Tropical Nomad, thank you very much indeed. It's been a very rainy, wet night, so thank you, Mother Bali, for giving us the best rainy season. We're going to hear that in the background, I'm pretty sure. So as you know, we're here every Monday, 6 o'clock. We start, as in we ask people to arrive, then we play some fun games. Now, 6:25, we go live. And look, next week next week will be Bali Ocean Days. We're looking to organize that one, which is an incredible opportunity to see one of the best events in Bali that's put on around the oceans, right? Ocean, from conservation to how do we look after the ocean going forward, and also grow certain industries and environments, right? So that will be next week. And as you know, so we're here. Our work has been endorsed by the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, by Forbes Business Council, by Bali tourism stakeholders, and many, many more. So if you'd like to come, we are here at Tropical Nomad. You don't need to RSVP. You don't need to be a member. You can literally just come off the street, walk in, grab a seat, and hear some pretty interesting, stimulating conversation, and meet some amazing people who are very tied in to the topic of the night. So, without further ado, Kiki, we start with you, then we'll finish with our sister Sun over there. Please feel free to impart some more wisdom on us.
Okay, thanks, Robert. Okay, so for any one of you that really interested to have a free consultation with us, definitely you can visit our website, and then our team from customer service, and also.
And your website is?
www.balistaffsolutions.com. So that's actually our website, and then our team will assist you as well to handling about the slot booking appointment, either with me, either with Sun, because we still handling directly to fulfill about what exactly your needs and customizations about what something that you also wants to do in your company. And then after that, we can make a customization proposal according to what your need, and then after that we can go forward is according to the proposal that we had, and then we offer for you something like that. Maybe Sun wants to give more detail about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, as a last word or last few sentences, I would like to highlight again the labor laws in Indonesia. When you're coming as an expat or as a local as well to Indonesia and want to open a business in Indonesia, please make sure you are in compliance with the labor laws. You respect and adjust to the local culture here. That's really important. So you just need to be aware of that things are going in a different way than you are probably used to it, and that's okay, and just learn to adjust and respect everyone.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, Kiki and Sunje, Bali Staff Solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert, for having